Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. And in this particular clip, I call it You. And why I'm saying it's you is you need to listen to yourself. Don't listen to other people and really develop yourself to be an independent thinker. Someone who relies on their own abilities to think. So I'm going to go into this presentation on why I think you should be focusing on you, listening to yourself to become a better investor. So let's pop in here and show you what I've got. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is listen to yourself. Do not listen to others and take them for their word. What sparked this presentation is, you know what, I'll come back in here, guys. What sparked this presentation was Kathy Wood made a comment in one of her clips, and I couldn't believe what she was saying. I was kind of dumbfounded with it. I heard that she said that oil could go to $3 to $12 a barrel of oil on a YouTube clip that I was watching, and I just sat there shaking my head like, if electric vehicles, and she said this is what her justification was. She said oil is going to get so high that people are going to switch to electric vehicles because oil prices. But then she said oil is going to go to $3 to $12 a barrel. I'm like, well, if it goes to $3 to $12 a barrel and oil is literally free, why would I buy an electric vehicle then? Once you buy an oil-based vehicle, because even so, the cost curves are way above $3 to $12. That means America is going to produce zero oil. Canada is going to produce zero oil, and I don't even know if Saudi Arabia has production cost curves of $3 to $12 a barrel. And we are always going to produce some amount of oil. We've got, historical cars. We'll call them cars that are going to run on oil that people want to collect, collector cars. I don't think we're going to see $3 to $12 a barrel, but it spurred this presentation because, guys, don't listen to that type of stuff. I do not think that we're going to go to $3 to $12 a barrel anytime soon, and I don't know if we could ever go that low because I think it's probably below the cost curves of every single oil company. And if you have inflation, you're going to just have increasing cost curves over time. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some. Maybe we find fusion or something. We figure that out, and maybe oil is completely not needed. I don't know. She honestly thinks that electric vehicles are going to replace gasoline engines in its entirety, worldwide for the most part. And for me, I just disagree with her outlook. I disagree with many people's outlooks on YouTube. Almost everyone that I see, a large percentage of people on YouTube think that we are in a housing bubble. I disagree with it. I don't know how this bubble can resurrect. I don't know how we can correct this bubble without a ton more inventory. So high prices is indicating that we have an inventory problem, that the demographics do support because we are in the situation that we have today. So I don't listen to a lot of those other people. I'll take their viewpoints, but their viewpoints aren't backed by anything. They just they throw out an opinion, and they say, "Oh, we're in a bubble." It's like, okay, so high prices doesn't mean that we're in a bubble. It just means you have high prices. Now, real estate is cheap in comparison to stocks. What would you say about stocks? You are in a mega bubble. If you think real estate's in this big bubble. Now, real estate isn't that expensive in relationship to gold, and I think gold's going to go higher. I think we just have a declining dollar. A declining dollar is what is driving all this. You've got a flood of dollars in the system, and you have more dollars being created with higher real estate, which means you have more loans. It's all piled on top of each other. So I'm just saying, listen to yourself, make up and think for yourself. Don't take everyone for face value because I think a lot of these opinions, I would disagree wholeheartedly against them. Doesn't mean they're wrong, but I completely disagree with them. Here's another example. Electric vehicles will be adopted more slowly than I think. I don't think we're going to have the adoption rate that some of these people think we're going to have. I think that they are a large expense, just vehicles in general. And again, I only think the first world countries are going to be adopting electric vehicles at anywhere near the pace that some of these people think. And for the most part, they are inconvenient for a lot of people. Think of all the single car owners. Are you gonna have one car that's an electric vehicle? And if you're going to take long trips, what do? Like very long trips. It all depends. I don't know. Some people, and it's the perception. It's not the reality or a fact. It's the perception of the person buying the car. So it's not my perception. It's the perception of the person buying the car. They may know that oil is easy to fill up, the oil gas cars, and they just fill up and decide to buy that vehicle and not buy an electric vehicle. A lot of people rent. They have no access to charging. What are those people going to do? Lots of people park outside and not in the garage. What do you think they're going to buy? An electric vehicle that sits outside and is tough to charge? Or are they going to clean out the garage and put it in the garage? I don't know. Just things that I think about. And a greater adoption will happen when oil gets a lot more expensive. I agree with that, but as adoption goes up, the price of oil will decline. And it will become more affordable to drive your car. Now, I do want to I'm going to pull up one thing here really quick. And I did a break even of a car analysis here. So I own a car, obviously. It's a gasoline cars. I have a standard car versus an electric car. If I were to buy an electric car, sorry, put myself over here. If I were to buy an electric car for $25,000, that's what this electric car right here is, $25,000. My car that I own is $0 because I already own it. And if I wanted to equal out the net present value, $30,950 is roughly the cost of an electric car, which has very low operating costs. And so the EV car is $25,000. The standard car, I have $14,000, but I put it to $0 because I'm using it because of the one that I already have. Maintenance is $360 a year for the standard. The renewal for the car registration's $250 a year, $67 is what I pay right now. Gas. So I tried to find a break-even point. I said electricity's $300. I used $300 for gas on this here. I'm just seeing B7, C8. Yep, an electric. So doing the math, going through the calculations, I was saying about almost 300 gallons of gas per year is what I burn through. And the price per gallon would have to be $7 a gallon for me to cost justify or have the break-even point for an electric vehicle that I pay $25,000 for. So if I were to pay $25,000 for a vehicle, gas needs to be about $7 a gallon for me to even consider it. Now, it would have to be a sustained $7, and $7 in the future at a net present value is going to have to be more than that, because I'm going to take $25,000 today and buy this thing or take a loan out against it. And it depends on the credits that they give, obviously. This could cut it in half if they give you, $12,000 tax credit or something like that. Then it would be $3.50 a gallon. Then you'd see a larger adoption of electric vehicles, quite obviously. So if that occurs, I think what we're going to do is you're going to see a lot higher demand for electric vehicles, and then that's when I think you'll see that copper shortage, and that's why I'm so heavily invested in copper. Now, going back to the PowerPoint for you, here's the general consensus. So the general consensus here is when oil was at a bottom of 2020 and the ratio was at 50-1, people on this very channel in some of the comments were saying that oil will not go to $100 a barrel ever again. That oil will be $30 or $40 a barrel for the rest of our lives, or cheaper. Kathy Wood, I think, perhaps had an influence on their outlook, maybe not. But that was the general consensus. Oil's not going back up over $30, $40 a barrel. I heard lots of bears in the news about oil and renewables are the next best thing. That's what I was listening to. I think electric vehicles and renewables will try to be implemented. I think we're going to try to do it. But I think that the minerals may not exist for the adoption rate to be anywhere near where people think. I think we're going to hit material constraints of some certain minerals. So what I'm doing is I'm speculating on what those minerals are. And I think the electric vehicle adoption and renewables will be slowed because of mineral, how fast we can flow a lot of these minerals to be used around the world. In terms of buying companies, remember this is focused on you. So buy for a reason and a purpose for every single company in your portfolio. Explain why you bought it in the first place and be able to explain to someone else why you purchased it and why you think it's either a good value or has massive growth potential. If you can't explain something that you own, you shouldn't own it. You should be able to explain it off the top of your head quite easily. If you cannot do this basic explanation to someone else, you should not be buying the company, in my opinion. You should be able to explain it easily. Hey, look, this is why I own it. This is what's good. The CEO does this. Their vision is this. They're doing this is their strategy, and I agree with that strategy. This channel here, the reason I developed this channel, I set up this channel to help everyone understand the basics of the market and how to understand valuing sectors. I know a lot of you like the technical analysis I do, as that is where the majority of the views come from on the channel. That's why I do so many of them. And be aware that I am not a short-term trader. I hold for the entire bull market. I'm an investor. I will adjust every once in a while if I see a great opportunity and am underweight to the sector. Sometimes I put those into free rides where I let the profits ride. I take my original investment out to beef up when I have another great opportunity that I didn't know about that I want to beef up. So sometimes I do that, but usually I just ride the wave. And I know some people here. My suggestion is look for low risk opportunities. You don't have to be piling in all these risky things. You don't have to try to become a billionaire in one market swing. You're probably going to take on too much risk. So what I mean by looking for low risk, look for low risk entry points. Buy close to large downtrend breaks. Buy into strength. Get great value. Look at those ratios and watch the cost curves for added downside protection. Package this all together for yourself. Remember, a lot of this is going to depend on you, not someone else telling you this. If you realize and figure this out, where your low risk entry points, that's close to big chart pattern breaks, like copper that we saw in our market conditions update, like rare earth metals, REMX that just broke out of a large pattern, off of a gigantic cup and handle pattern too. Those are the things that you want to look at. And if you buy right where they have the breaks, you have very low risk. And if you have the protection of the valuation behind you, where it's undervalued, you're making yourself that much more, the probabilities are that much more of success for you. And know the cost curves of what you're buying. What are the cost curves for platinum? What are the cost curves for silver, gold, tin, copper? Look at all that stuff. See how much it costs to produce it, and see where the price is in relationship to those cost curves of the higher cost producers. And I go over all of this stuff on the channel. Look at the playlists if you want to figure some of this stuff out. But tie this all together. And what you're going to do is, if you know this last slide here, and you know this inside and out, you're not going to have to listen to anyone else but yourself. You're going to know exactly when it's cheap, when it's expensive, and then you can tell, look, this thing just broke out. It's cheap. This thing's ready to go. And that's when you pile into it. You don't have to listen to Kathy Wood or Warren Buffett or someone else. You don't need anyone else. You don't need anyone else at that point. You are a self-sufficient investor there. So if you can get to that point, that's where I want to get you. This channel is to get you to that point where you're a self-sufficient investor and you can start disagreeing with others because you have the data and the knowledge, the wisdom, the know-how to battle ludicrous claims. So don't listen to some of these people that are making ludicrous claims. Go out there, look for this last slide here. Look at the cost curves, look for great value, buy into strength, do this strategy, and I think you're going to be successful as an investor. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. Thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.